Evening all, welcome back to Factorio. So today we're looking at the HMS Wibbly Wobbly. This ship is the pinnacle of Nauvis technology. Well, actually it's not. I was going to show you how I've done this because there's a kind of clever use of circuits and all that crap. So also we're going to probably upgrade some of the systems on this as well. So I thought we'd do that. Now quality is everything. Much in life, it's probably better to drive a quality car than a non-quality car or a low quality car. That's just personal opinion, but obviously if you enjoy driving a Trabant with two wheels, then good on you. The reality is that nicer things tend to do better. So this is why quality is actually a really good thing. My view of quality is that it's essential in some areas as well, and I thought I'd point them out today because let's start with the obvious one. Things like the grabby army things. They are just incredible. They just work. Everything about them is just fantastic. Plus, the difference is you get 5 arms. You also get a higher, quicker cargo, a higher cargo, quicker grab. Everything just works better on them, and we'll sort of show you this. We'll quickly just kind of boost over to Vulcanus, and you'll see kind of just having legendary grabby army things is just totally worth it. If I was going to say what to start your quality journey with, it would definitely be these, and then probably turrets. So the next step is things like turrets. So we have here some legendary turrets. You can see the difference there. If I just sort of go between epic and legendary, it's pretty good, right? So if you go between that and a normal turret, it's pretty, and you hope you can see the difference there. Hopefully that is a clear demonstration of how you should totally be getting legendary turrets and things. So as you can see, the arms there, they just outperform everything, like just totally worth it. So probably upgrade maybe even these. Do I have any on the ship? I don't think I do. No, I don't, but oh well. So this design is based upon the premise of Red Dwarf. So you see here it's basically a big mining ship, and all it is just a giant city in space hurling its way through the stars. It works quite well. Everything up front is guns, and as you can see, we've gone through a bit of a journey with the guns. We have just the turrets, what do they call them? Gun turrets, obviously. We have rocket turrets, and now we have rail guns, and that's probably it. I think there's probably not much more you can do. Still trying to get to grip with the rail guns. The rail guns are very powerful, so we have them only targeting certain things. But this is where I think circuitry comes in, because you want to start making sure that certain things happen in the right way. So let's just look at the space map. So here in this area here, as you can see, if you click on these, it shows you the density of certain things. So obviously metallic, carbonic, they are very high prevalence here. Things like ice is very low. So this is worth noting, because the reality is, the nearer you are to the sun, the less ice you have, which is then a problem, because obviously all ships run on, well, they tend to run on water. You need the water certainly for nuclear power. We don't anymore. We actually now have a fusion reactor, but we'll come back to that. So let me present to you the Engine System 2700 version 3. It's pretty cool. I quite like it. So let me just point out the key features of this. Imagine a bikini model kind of swooshing and presenting herself over the bonnet here. You have on this side, obviously being fed from the central core, all the things you need. So in this case, what's that thing called? Calcite and iron. So we've got that here. Now this little digital display, that's right, it's a digital display, is showing you percentage. So the more that's filled, the more fuel complete you are. So this actually is just something, a very simple wired condition, which just then, and I'll show you how it works. So all of these are connected to this kind of bank of silos, and it's telling me how much fuel I have. So obviously, 0. It then goes up to 10k, 20, 30, 40, etc. And you can see how it works. And then once it hits 100, I think we could then go into figures of like 20, I think it is, yes. So the maximum is about 240. There we go, 230. So this doesn't have, it's just about 230. So that one should light up, but it doesn't, who knows why. So this is very good, because what you can do is you can obviously right click that, and then if you're ever in a position where you're wondering how fueled the ship is, you can then see that. I ain't bothered too much about that, so we'll delete that. It's more kind of when you jump into the ship, you can quickly just scan, you can see, okay, we're good on fuel on both sides. So on this side, you've got the, is it accelerant or oxidant, I think it is. And then here you have the liquid fuel on this side. So very, very handy. I like the modular nature of it. I like the fact that it ejects what it doesn't need. So again, this is something that really took me a long time to figure out. If you have everything being fed into the central core here, it's fine to do that. I probably wouldn't recommend it for everything, but for many things it's a good idea. And as you can see, we have things like stack inserters now, so that's obviously really good. But the idea is you take in resources, you then store them ready to be then pushed out. So you have to be a bit clever with certain things. So things like calcite will just fill this thing up. So you want to create a flow through. Think of it as a bucket. You're filling that bucket with water. You want to have holes in it to stop it overflowing. So it gets to a point and then just pours out, or empties, or whatever you want to call it. So here we've got that. We've actually set up a behavior on the belt which says, okay, once we've got X number of calcite in here, we don't need any more. Therefore, anything else, all the other calcite, you can actually just throw away. And that's pretty much how that bit works. You see we're doing the same here with copper. So again, because we're constantly kind of grabbing rocks, and we'll come to the rock crushing in just a moment, the idea is you're allowing a certain amount of resources in. So if I scroll, so we have 100, I think it's 100 or 200 coal, copper and iron ore. And that obviously then gets fed back out to the refineries. Now I could do it the other way where it just goes into the refinery, but something has sort of told me not to do it that way, because in some cases, some planets, it was helpful to be able to drop the ore from orbit. That's not really the case anymore, but for now, we've stuck with it. So that's how that works, and you can see we're using filters here. Now, let's talk about how the ore works. So this is probably then something where it starts to get a little bit more complicated. So we're just going to send the ship to, let's send it to Aquilio. That'll be an interesting test, won't it? Is it moving? Why is it not moving? Oh, are we being resupplied? Right, so we'll let that resupply happen, then we should burn. So the design of the ship is something that I'm quite proud of, and I would welcome comments, because it's kind of an evolving way to do this. It doesn't look good and it needs another version, but what I wanted to do is to have two conveyor belts that constantly are cycling. One is for ammo, and only certain types of ammo, because the railguns need their own feed. Because I think the one way this ship will die is when we travel beyond Aquilo to the edge of the solar system. The rocks are too big for anything to kill them. You'd need an awful lot of damage to kill them, except railgun. So that's why, for me, railguns become pretty much absolutely critical. So first off, we have a manufacturing of railgun technology thing here that is actually being fed directly to them, as well as into the central core. So you see here we are actually stockpiling this, and this is then controllable, because what will guarantee, I already know this because I've tried it, if you try to fly to the universe edge, the solar system edge, without enough railgun ammos, you're gonna have a bad time, brah. So this is why I have this kind of surplus, and this is controllable. So here, again, using a circuit, I can dictate how many I want saved. So currently it's only 500, but I think we actually have a huge amount. So we look at the space we've got, that easily could be 1,000. So why don't we set that? So let's set that to be 1,000, because we are gonna plan a trip to the edge of the solar system soon. So you see that now kind of whirs and clicks, and you see everything's being fed in. So this is then starting to increase. You see there, we're starting to up that, and we'll leave that running. So that's pretty cool. So this kind of ammo thing has worked quite well so far, but post in the comments your views on it, because every single angle needs to have defense now. Because as you get further away from, well, I guess Gleba and Fulgora, etc., and you get to sort of Aquilio, and then beyond it, you have to have a way to deal with every single type of rock. Now the problem is, what happens when you get to the solar system edge, and your ship stops, and then a giant, huge rock floats in from the back? It's a problem. So we actually even need to put railguns here, and I'm actually just going to demonstrate that now. Oops. Come on. There we go. So we need to actually, if I rotate, we're going to have things like one there, and so on. Hopefully you get Oh my gosh, I've broken it, and so on. So you get the point, is it needs to be able to kind of cover all angles. So this ammo belt, I'm going to come up with a circuit that means it's one rocket, one railgun round. Ammo, in terms of gun ammo, will probably be continual because that seems to be more used. I actually don't use many rockets at the moment. As you can see, probably the 1 or 2s being shot here. I think the railguns tend to destroy most things. It's very satisfying, isn't it? And look at the arms. It's very satisfying, that. The railguns are just incredible. Like, I genuinely think that you could probably do without rocket turrets at this point, but we'll keep them only because they're, I think, a bit cheaper to make that a rocket than a round, because you need things like steel, copper wire and explosives and so on. So, bit of work there. Anyway, I digress. So what we effectively have got is these 2 belts that are then being detected. So we're reading what's on them, particularly for the asteroid rocks, because then when we come down to here, this is telling me very quickly how many steel rocks we have, how many carbonic rocks, and how many ice rocks. And you start to see the problem here, because ice, as you go further away, so towards Aquilio and the solar system edge, so these 2 zones here, look at ice, it's basically a huge problem now. And that's good, but also bad. So you need to find a way to actually convert these into other things. So again, I've wired from this into these areas here. So it's actually going to, I can't remember how any of this works actually, I think it was this one here. So when these get above a certain number, the belt is enabled, so it will actually try to reduce them. Same here. So we have, again, we're reading 634 ice blocks. So I would say actually these are not able to cope. I don't think, oh yes, we do have some legendary, there we go, so we can update them to legendary. And we probably should put a speed module. Let's just do that now. I think we'll test it, but I think this is probably the way to be, because then this keeps this more balanced. Without this system here, you basically have no iron or copper at all. And now we're stopped at Aquilio. See, the problem now exists. You have to obviously keep defending. Oh my goodness, look at the barrage of things landing on Aquilio right now. That's funny. I think it's because Aquilio is basically import everything. And I do like Aquilio. I think it's probably one of my favourite planets, actually, as I've got more used to it and I've started to unlock things like, fusion power. I just love the mechanics of having to kind of keep everything from freezing. I think that's very, very fun indeed. So the Wibbly Wobbly basically has this ability to kind of balance the rocks. I'll just pause there and kind of, you can then look at how it's working. It's not great. I mean, again, I wish I'd done this the other way around, because the way that they feed into this general processing area is underpowered. I probably need to put double these. So you see, it's just using arms. It's taking from the main belt. So think of that as the main bus, which is a constant loop. And what it's doing is taking into this sub-processing loop merely solely to then process. So you see, it's just processing the materials, and the vast majority of the materials are being ejected. So if I come down here, it's just a terrible example of throughput waste. There's no point. I mean, I should be stopping it, I guess, but it's just, you might as well just process it and get it off the ship. So an awful lot of, I mean, you see the fuel's already full. This thing just won't run out of fuel. It's a very efficient system, and it seems to work very well. As you can see, we're also getting rid of a crap ton of ice. So we have our ice processing here doing exactly the same thing again, which is, processing ice. The water's already full. So all it's doing is any surplus calcite and water is just basically being ejected into space there. It feels wasteful, but I think that's the kind of process you have to do. And you see here, we can then just keep a track on how balanced we are here. These kind of then work quite well. But post in the comments if you've got a better way to do this, let me know. I think this works quite well, because what it's doing is basically turning ice into other things that we can use, and balancing everything quite nicely. So huge amounts of trial and error. I mean, hours, days have gone into this. I still think it's underpowered. I think we've got more processing capability or capacity than we actually use, so I think these need to be updated. And now these are doing exactly the same thing, so they're reading this inner processing sub-belt, so you see this one here, and they're reading it to say, okay, how many, oops, I clicked the right thing, so how many is on the belt, and then it will do, a thing. So we could probably up this, so maybe let's make that 80. So that'll then just start taking in as many as it can. So let me just do copy, copy. Same here, so this is doing 50, so we'll probably make that 70. And copy, copy, and then ice, yeah, only 35, that's not a lot, is it? So I think we'll probably up that to 55. It's trial and error. It's literally like anything, you're balancing it to see how it feels, how it works, how it, you know, how it kind of makes sense. The bit that I'm worried about a bit now is I actually don't have any kind of runoff for iron. I've just seen that. That's a bit of a mistake because we then run the risk of basically choke. Oh no, we do actually. Here we go. So it runs into here, and I think iron is capped again at 200 or 2000 rather. And if memory serves, it's basically then just being ejected through the system. So it goes all the way down through the ship to here, and then that's where it's being ejected. So that feels very wasteful to me, but for now it works. It's not overloading the central processing. See here, look, we've already processed. Look at that, that's incredible. It feels wrong, but again, we're keeping surplus of everything we need, and it seems to kind of work. And we're doing then the same thing in terms of things like production of sulfur, in terms of production of, I can't remember where we're actually doing sulfur now. Look at this, where are we doing sulfur? Must be here, right? Is that producing sulfur? No. Where am I? I must be losing my mind. Where do we do sulfur? Oh my goodness. Oh, it's here. Of course it is. Yeah, so it's actually done as part of the carbonic rock piece there. So again, you know, there's only a few doing that. So you see, notice the spread. Hopefully that's clear. You can see not everyone is doing sulfur because you've got too many. Same with the ice. It's better to do ice, just normal oxide processing, rather than the calcite because you get less ice. So it's a balancing act all the time. And it's working quite well. I mean, this ship seems to just handle the inner belt perfectly fine. Everything from Aquilo inwards, no problem. When we start to go north, we then have a problem, but we'll probably show that. I think we'll actually try and do a trip to the solar system edge and see how we get on. Power wise, we have just a very straightforward fusion reactor. This seems to be doing a great job. So in terms of power, again, I can't fault it. It's producing 400 megawatts of power, of which never will we come even close to needing. So far this is working quite well. I haven't fed in the fuel cell just yet, the fusion power cell. The reason is because we're going to repurpose this. So we did have nuclear power for an awful long time on this system, this ship. And it used a clever circuitry system. So again, you probably, if you've heard this, then apologies, I'm explaining the obvious to you, but you only need to insert a power fusion, whatever they call it. What do they call it? You only need to insert the uranium fuel cell into the core when it goes around 507 degrees. So here we've got the sort of signal saying at 507 degrees, this then enables. So T is obviously sending a signal T, and when that gets less than, what did I say? So when 507 is less than 500, it just inserts a fuel cell. Now, so far, I don't know what's happened. You'll have to tell me what's happened here. But these haven't been fueled for a long time, but yet they're still running 507. So they're still running hot. It could be that there's just no power demand on any of this, because I think actually we're going to get rid of this and turn that entire space and this area here into more advanced production, because this is going to be, and we're going to actually extend the red dwarf model, you know, the wibbly wobbly is going to be all the way down here. It'll be a huge kind of flying sausage. It'd be fun. It will make me giggle and laugh, and that's it. That's the kind of plan of how we're doing this. I think in terms of other things to kind of call out, I think the main thing that I would probably suggest is the storage units that do seem to be a bit of a challenge. So I wish I'd had a bit more thought. See how I've done it is as long as one's connected, they all work, but I've had to really spread it around. I've got solar panels, but they're pointless. So I think it just needs a bit of an optimization around how much of this is set, so it could be a bit more efficient. Right, let's save that there, just because I don't want to literally lose the ship, and let's go to the solar system edge. So the challenge with the solar system edge is basically the huge rocks, and I'm a bit worried now to maybe set these to not attack big, just huge. But we'll see. Let's see how we go, because I do think we're going to burn through our ammo too quick. So there we go. That's a huge one. Look at that. What a big bertha that is. Boom. But you see, the railgun does a good job, and then I think the rocket turrets kind of clear them up. So we'll leave it as it is. Let's see. Let's do a bit of a test and see how this feels. Again, I think the resource system will just be overwhelmed here, which is good, because eventually it just gets to a point where it's completely saturated and it just can't add any more to the belt, which is great. And I do think having 2 independent loops is definitely the way to do it, but there we go. So let's just watch this. So we have our railguns, they're pretty powerful. But again, when you get this, like this is a problem. This already is a problem. It's just overwhelmed. Basically, we're going to lose something. I don't want to lose my legendary stuff here because that was really expensive. But let's see how it goes. Most things tend to be missed, but again, the problem we have here is we're going to burn an awful lot of ammo blowing that up. Oh no, well that one was just far enough. But if something's over here and the railgun misses it, it's a problem. So I do need to put railguns all over this thing. And it is such a far away. It's such a long way away. Let's just see how we're doing on the map. So you can see, look, we're not even partly started yet. And already I'm getting a bit nervous. We've got plenty of ammo. That's probably the difference from when I last did this. I only did this with about 200 rounds. It was nowhere near enough. You need at least 1,000, I'd say. And I think the issue becomes when everything is just sort of piled up. I know what's coming because I've seen so many posts now telling me basically what's coming with the shattered planet, but I'm not going to think about that just yet. I think at the moment my next step is to really up the game of the ammo belts on the ship. Oh my goodness, look at all this stuff. It's pretty crazy, right? Very exciting. I think this is one of the best mechanics because you really got to think about how you build this ship to kind of react to what is effectively a great big bleeding set of rocks. Now here's where I get an issue because the railgun might miss that. Let's see. Boom. No, got it. But something that goes to the side, like that one, they'll waste huge amounts of, there you go, prime example, wasting huge amounts of ammo shooting it. I probably should set that to not shoot at huge things, but the problem is it can eventually kill it. It just takes like 20, 30 rockets, maybe more. And as you see, it's getting a bit hairy now, right? I mean, that's starting to look a bit worrying. It's getting a bit brown trouser time. We're going to brown alert very soon. Oh goodness, look how close these are getting. But we're not even a third of the way yet. So yeah, this is concerning. So I think we're going to head back. I'm going to be a coward. Let's go back to Aquilo. We're not going to make it. Well, we might, but I think we just have to accept that we need to little bit more upping of the front of this ship to a bit more aggressive. I think it probably would manage it actually, but there we go. So I hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next time.